have no idea where to start. Life on some days seems like an awful TV series, but today was one of those episodes where the ending makes you sit at the television screen and open your mouth. I mean, I've dealt with a lot of messy in my life, but this was different. The story began with a text from one of my colleagues, Melanie. She is one of those people that always knows what's going on before anyone else. The sort. She spies out conversations before you can tell anyone's talking. Anyway, she wrote me a text message saying, "You know Sarah's husband?" I thought it would be the cliché. Oh, he got promoted, or they have a baby. But no, this was the news that makes you stop everything. Sarah's husband, the man we all believed could never fail us, had been cheating on her. I'm referring to real-life, scabbiness, double-life cheating. What makes it worse? The woman he's dating is at our company. Our company. Like you can't even get out of it. It's not a dumb woman he just ran into at a bar or on a vacation. Nope. Someone we interact with every day. Someone who sips lunch around our tables. I've sat beside her, probably watching Netflix, while she was out here trying to ruin a house. Now this is the part that surprises me. Sarah and her husband have been married for 13 years. 13 years. And they've just been married. I can still remember her announcing her wedding to us. Her face lit up like she'd just won the lottery. She was flaunting her ring, grinning, discussing the dress, the flowers, the honeymoon. We were all so excited for her because, yeah, Sarah is one of the most lovely people you'll ever know. She is tender-minded, smart, and devoted to an extent. She'd been pining for that ring all along, and once she had it, we all felt like she won. And of course, she was committing to a nightmare. And I can't stop wondering what this guy did to act like he loved her so much. 13 years together, and he hadn't even had the temerity to stay true to one year. I mean, I would be pleasantly surprised, but in light of everything I've seen lately, I am not. Cheating seems to be a daily occurrence. It's a virus that you can't escape. And believe me, this is not an isolated case. Our office, it's like a kind of breeding ground for this sort of drama. There are three other, equally messy, events currently unfolding. 3 husband-wife side-chick triangles in the shape of a morning soap. I wish I was joking. I'm beginning to suspect that the place is cursed. Such as perhaps something in the vents makes humans morally down. I've never witnessed it before. Let me demonstrate. Then there's Rachel, who sits 2 desks over from me. Her husband has been working late, 3 times a week for the past 2 months. She sensed something was off but continued to brush it off because, she believed him. Then one night she drove past his office. Guess what? His car was not there. You want to know where it was? 10 miles outside a pub. She walked in and there he was, sitting in a booth with a woman who wasn't actually his work friend. She said she went right up to them, slammed him in the face and said, "Working late, huh?" Then she just turned around and went away. The next day, she was home for the day and wept. She returned the next day as if nothing had happened, but you could see it in her face. It isn't an immediate experience. Then there is Denise. Her situation is even worse. She has 2 children and her husband twice got dumped. Not once, twice. She stayed the first time. For the kids, she said. "I wanted my kids to have both parents, and everyone needs a second chance," she told us. Get it. Really do. But the second time, I don't even understand how she survived. He had been flagged down texting another woman. She challenged him and he barked. It is not what it looks like. Except that it was what it looked like. Now she's dragged around trying to decide whether to go or not. She explained, "I don't want my children to think it's okay to do this, but I don't want them to have their dad." I have no envy for her. Now, every woman in this office has a tale to tell about being dumped. I am not exaggerating. Every single one. You might think it's a coincidence, but it's not. I'm beginning to believe it's a pattern. Something of a virus that focuses on men's respectability only. Take Jessica, for example. She is the softest, most gentle person you could ever imagine. Never had a serious relationship. No boyfriend. No ex. Nothing. She began speaking with this guy recently. He was doing just fine, sending her morning texts, calling her after work, giving her small gifts. Good guy, yawns. They all thought he was a gem. And suddenly, boom. she discovers that he's pregnant with another woman. This dude waited for Jessica to approach him as his baby mom was at home, setting up the nursery. Could not believe it. Jessica never saw him again, but it hurt her self-esteem. Then there is me. I'm in my early 20s, and my first boyfriend spit on me. First romance, first love, first heartbreak. He did all of the above. We'd been together for about a year. Everything was okay, or so I figured. I'm referring to nightly FaceTimes, spontaneous outings, the whole "I see my future with you" talk. Then, one day I had that gut reaction. You know, the one that makes you think something's wrong, even if you can't prove it. Well, my gut was right. Apparently, he'd been texting his friend late at night. I challenged him, and he initially replied it was nothing. But I pressed on, and he conceded it. I probably was 5 years old at the time. That's not the only thing that's hurtful about being cheated on. It's how it makes you question everything. Every "I love you," every hug, every memory. It all seems contrived. And when it occurs to other humans, it strikes harder. Because if it's possible for them, for the strong, intelligent, beautiful women, what is the hope for us? This is why I find it hard to believe in love right now. I don't want to be one of those bitter single girls who strut around and say, every guy is like that. But at this point, it's hard not to. I find myself questioning whether love really is a fairy tale that we're all taught to believe. If it was true, would everyone out here be cheating? Would all these people be in break rooms clinging to texts and midnight swindles? But here's the thing. I'm done seeking romance. This time I'm going to seek rest. I desire mental tranquility, a calm heart, and a calm life. I'm going to care about myself, strengthen myself, and feel so good that I don't care if love ever comes knocking on my door again. Because after all, if love needs me, it better come up with something. No more liars. No more cheaters. There's no more half-emotional, half-impressed, half-devoted men. Sorry, I'm done with that chapter. And honestly, a lot of my colleagues are starting to be feeling the same way. You've probably read part 1. Wow, how could it get any worse? And wait, we're not finished yet. See, cheating isn't an instant. It is a cascade of falsehoods, secrets, and harm that continues long after the truth is discovered. Take Sarah, for example. Remember her. The 13-year-old, the bridegroom's fairy tale wedding to be exact, married a charlatan. I mean, once she quit the firm, oh my God, she spliced 2 and 2. She told Melanie, our shared colleague, that small things hadn't been making sense for a while. Lost calls, text messages on read, more dates with the guys. Those, your standard clues that something isn't right. And what finally tore her? She noticed they had charged their bank account for a hotel room. But if you're married, why stay in a hotel room by yourself in your hometown? Exactly. She confronted him about it, and guess what this guy had to say? He went so far as to say, I needed a place to think. A place to think. Are you serious? You could cycle through the park if you need some time to contemplate. You do not require a hotel room in total. That is when Sarah knew. She remarked immediately, if you don't tell me the truth, I am going. And he insisted. The sad part, she wanted to believe him. She really did. But there was something wrong with that hotel price. She did what a lot of women do when they get frustrated. She hired her own private detective. She opened his email and skimmed through months of messages. Their majority were business emails, spam, and the mundane. But then she found it. The confirmation email from the hotel. She spotted something peculiar though, 2 guests. She rang the hotel and, assuming his name, demanded a copy of the receipt. They emailed it to her without even verifying her. And guess what she saw? Room service for 2. 2 breakfast orders, 2 coffees, and 2 desserts. When she told me this, I swear my heart exploded with hers. I could hear it in her voice. That split you get when you realize you've been getting close to someone who wasn't really interested in you back. I stood at my kitchen table and stared at it, she told me. Thought maybe it's wrong. Perhaps he simply ordered double. She should have known better. We always know. She confronted him later that evening. And this time she didn't even permit him to lie. She laid it all out, the hotel bill, the email, the room service. He sat there like a child caught plundering the cookie jar. Nothing to say, nothing to justify, nothing. And then finally he blurted out, It meant nothing. I dread that sentence more than anything. It meant nothing. If it didn't, why take a chance on it? Why ruin a woman's heart over something that had no consequence? I feel more angry about that remark than the cheating itself. In the office, the situation was even worse. The triangular romance between Denise, her husband, and his sidekick was raging. Still, Denise had to keep the family together for the kids, and it was dragging on her. She was drowsy constantly, barely communicated with anyone, and from time to time, I could see her staring at her computer screen as if she was far away. I've experienced that stare. The face of a woman trying to make herself stay when all the bones in her body are telling her to go. I don't even feel like myself anymore, she said once. Because that's what cheating does to you. Seizes your identity. You begin to question everything, your appearance, your value, your decisions. And all while you are asking yourself questions, the man who tore you to pieces is continuing his life as if nothing happened. It is not fair. It will never be fair. One day, Denise requested that I go to lunch with her. I knew she had to say something. We had been eating drive-through burgers quietly in her car for a while, and then she kind of blurted it out. He's still chatting with her. My heart sank. I figured out what she was going to say before she'd said it. I knew when I checked his phone. She hadn't done that in months because she needed to believe him again. Something told her to double-check, so she did. And there it was. He had been texting the woman he'd promised he'd never talk to again. I don't know why I keep giving him chances, she said. I didn't know what to say, so I listened. In some cases, that's all you can do. Now I began to detect a pattern. It wasn't just Sarah or Denise. It was all of us. Every woman in that office had a tale. Every single one. Even women without boyfriends were not secure. Take Jessica, for example. Beautiful, innocent Jessica who'd never had a boyfriend. She finally starts communicating with this guy she knew through a friend of a friend. He felt just right. Messaging her all day, wondering how she was, calling before bed. She was glowing, as if she had finally discovered the one. Then, without warning, she realizes that the guy has an entire pregnant girlfriend back home. And how did she find out? Facebook. The nursing girlfriend tweeted a photo of the couple during a baby shower. "We have our baby in hand. So grateful for my boyfriend." The man was captioned exactly where the photo was taken, smiling like he didn't even have to. Jessica was devastated. "I was going to have my first true relationship finally," she told me. "I thought he was different." That line right there. I thought he was better. Every woman has said it, I'm sure. He will be different, we all believe. We all believe we're going to be the rare exception. But the more I hear about it, the more I begin to suspect that maybe there is no different. Perhaps they're all the same. That brings me to me. I didn't tell you everything about my first boyfriend. We'd been together for a year. He assured me that I was the one for him. He assured me we might get married someday. And we discussed relocating together. Thought he loved me. I really believed he loved me. But you know what he was more fond of? Attention. One night, I found him texting this girl. He vowed face to face that she was just a friend, and that I was being tender for no reason. I believed him because I wanted to believe him. And yet, the next time, I waded a little deeper. I checked his phone in the shower, fucking blah blah blah, but I digress. That's how I caught it. He'd been referring to this girl as baby in his messages. They would meet again later that week. I recall that my entire body went numb. I would have gotten out at that moment, but I didn't. I stayed. I let him make it up. He delivered all the predictable lines. "Sorry. It won't ever be the same again. You're everything to me." I believed him. It was another 3 months of rationalization before I left. 3 months of lies. 3 months of second-guessing myself. That's the thing about cheating. It isn't a single act of betrayal. It's the steady devastation of everything you hold dear. And eventually you simply don't believe in anything anymore. But here's what I'll tell you. Believe in me now. Believe in my peace. And I'm not letting anyone take that away from me again. I wish I could give you a happy ending. And I would love to say all the women I've been dealing with received their justice, that the men who cheated on them saw the error of their ways and asked for forgiveness. But life isn't a drama, And cheaters aren't always righteous. If nothing else, they largely succeed, at least temporarily. But that's not the end of this tale. It's us, the women who carry on, even when all seems broken. It has taught me a lot from watching my colleagues experience it. All of them handle it differently. Some stay, some go, and some merely live. But all of them together have been affected by it. Take Denise, for example. You know, the time she caught her husband texting the same woman he said he'd never text again. Well, from there she broke down. "I am done," she told him. "You want her so bad. Go be with her." Of course, he didn't want to go. They never do. He begged her to stay, that he'd go to therapy and get better. It's the same script every time, and I honestly have no idea how these men continue to get women to trust it. But Denise had experienced too much. She had already decided, she told him, and this time she did. She dropped her children, moved in with her sister, and went to divorce. After the first time, she told me afterward, "I should have walked away, but I felt I was doing the right thing for my kids." I asked her if she regretted it, and she said, "No, I don't regret staying so long. But I do not miss being away." I'm thinking a lot about that. She had to reconstruct her entire life. New town, new life, a fresh start. And it was not easy. She even admitted to clinging herself to sleep a few nights. But she also said something that stuck. "Every night I cry, I wake up a little stronger." Felt that. That's something I'm sure we've all experienced. Then there is Sarah. Sweet, sweet, understanding Sarah. A wife of 13 years who had discovered her husband had been betraying her to a colleague. She confronted him with the hotel receipt and said she was on her way. He sang and danced as usual. The beg, the weep, the "it's gonna never happen again" mantra. He even, she told me, kneeled and wept like a baby. But the thing about Sarah was, she was weeping enough. "I had drained every drop of my tears before I confronted him," she told me. "I entered that room clear-eyed and hazy. I've never felt prouder of a person." She moved in with her mom for a bit, and then what? She organized an all-inclusive holiday to Arizona. All she had, a suitcase and a rental car. She had to tell herself she was capable of handling things. I recalled her Instagram feed. Hiking through canyons, climbing mountainsides, looking happy as if she hadn't recently lost her heart. "You look so happy," I texted her, and she said, "I am. I really am." It was the first time I had learned that happiness doesn't come later. It is something you choose. Jessica's narrative still wounds me, though. She was so thrilled about that guy. The one she believed was the one for her. She trusted him, trusted his speech, trusted his affection. Then boom, she discovers he has a pregnant girlfriend. She ceased chatting with him, of course. But it shattered her soul. She became none of that teasing little thing. She got quieter, more reserved. One day, I observed her flipping through old texts on her phone. I said, "I'm just trying to figure out when everything went wrong." And that struck me like a punch in the gut because I've been there. It's the same thing I've done, rereading older posts and searching for the alarms you missed. But the thing is, it's not what you missed. It's what they concealed. So I sat down beside her, and after a few seconds I told her, "It's not your fault." She said, "No, I don't think so. Not yet, anyway." I know that feeling too. You tell yourself, if I was smarter, more beautiful, funnier, he would have stayed. Except that's a myth. You may be flawless, and if someone cheats, they will. It's nothing to do with you and nothing to do with them. As for me, I'm still sorting things out. I'm still in my early 20s, and I think I've already seen it all. Love was this mystical, unquestionable thing. But now it feels like an illusion. One of those magician's illusions where you watch close and yet don't catch how they did it. That's what my first boyfriend taught me. He taught me that love could be genuine and it could also be unreal. I remained with him for 3 more months when I discovered he was texting another girl. 3 months of self-questioning, wondering if I was too sensitive or too jealous. Spoiler alert, I was not. I was right. It was all my fault. That's what no one tells you about being cheated on. Not only the betrayal, the gaslighting. They challenge your instincts. They also make you feel crazy for noting things that are right in front of your face. And all the while, you're just there wondering yourself, and they're doing exactly what you knew they were doing. When I finally left him, I vowed never to question my intuition again. I would never beg for love, I told myself. I would never ask anyone to treat me well. Because love isn't something you need to beg for. It is funny. My teenage fantasies included love. I'd go to Disney movies and see the princess marry the prince and they ride off into the sunset. But I'm old and I understand. It's not a thing you win in love. It is not a trophy at the end of a match. You make the choice, each and every day you make the choice. And if you can't be your choice every day, they don't deserve you. I've learned to accept myself better. I have come to appreciate the solitude. It is peaceful, actually. Wake up without that knot in your chest. Not having to worry whether someone is lying to you. Never check his phone or scan his messages. It is freedom. And some of my female clients are still working through that lesson. I watch them struggle. I see them scrolling through messages from the past like Jessica. Staying for the kids, they tell me, Denise. I hear them talk about last chance, Sarah. But I'm sure they will hit the point when they go, enough. I know because I did. I've heard the expression I've used constantly. When a woman has made her mind up, there is no returning. Sarah, I see it in Denise. I see it in Jessica. And I recognize it in myself. All of us are on a different road, but we're all on the same path, to peace, toward freedom, toward ourselves. The thing is that love shouldn't make you feel tiny. It's not meant to make you question yourself. Love should be a warm embrace. And if it's not home, it's not love. I don't know whether I believe in love the way I used to, but I'm a believer in myself. Believe in my peace. Believe in my worth. And I hope that when love knocks on my door in the future, I will be prepared. Until then, I am choosing me. Because ultimately, if love wants me, then it's gotta arrive. No more liars. No more cheaters. No more half-committed, half-loving, half-engaged guys. I'm done with that chapter. And honestly, so are we all.